This is one of those things that everybody knew was coming, but would never really anticipate the day would actually arrive. Okay, at 96 years old, Queen Elizabeth II had passed away earlier today. It is, in fact, quite sad. Okay, every once in a while you see a former head of state, a former monarch, a former figurehead pass away, and that's normally a big to do. Everybody says their little piece on this, but somebody who reigned and held the position with such grace. I mean, there's no real blights on her reign, except for being one of the first thought patrollers when it comes to Princess Diana dealing with that situation. And she kind of holds a special place in my heart for that. But nothing really scandalous happened during her 70 years as queen, as presiding monarch. From the time that she was 26 years old, she just had her diamond jubilee earlier this year, and thankfully she was in good enough spirits then. I've seen the stories a little bit earlier today that she's going to be at Balmoral this morning, and then I seen the follow up to that. It's like, okay, now King Charles III would be showing up, Prince William would be showing up. Okay, and it's like, oh, that's probably not good. And then check a couple of hours later, and then we get the final announcement. And we'll probably have a whole bunch of crazy responses. There's one that's come out that's just been an astronomically poor take. But maybe over the next couple of days, we'll just discuss what the response has been so far. I just want to get into the nitty gritty, okay, what most people are saying, okay, most people closest to the Queen are talking about, and what the sequence of events going forward looks like. So let's take a look. Queen Elizabeth II, the longest serving monarch in British history, with a reign of 70 years and 214 days. That's most people would be happy to live as long as that, but she reigned over Britain, okay? And did it better than, well, just about anybody else, okay? Anyways, died at age 96 on September 8th. The Prince of Wales is now king, having ascended to the throne immediately upon the death of his mother. In the statement, the palace said the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The King and Queen consort will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow morning. Yeah, King Charles III, which is now going to be his moniker, will be addressing the public tomorrow. I guess they got to fit the crown in order to make sure that it has proper accommodations for his ears, because that's always been the joke for as long as I can remember, okay? Because here in Canada, we got the Queen and all of our money, so I guess the next round of stuff, maybe they're going to have to make accommodations for like quarters and toonies and loonies, okay? Like the toonies already built in, okay? You can have his face on one part of the coin, and then on the, the silver rim on the outside, then you can have the ears, and come on, we got to have some levity right now. Anyways, she was born Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Windsor on April 21st, 1926. Her father was known as Albert, Duke of York. At the age of 10, her grandfather, King George V, died and was succeeded by his eldest son, Edward VIII, whose relationship with American divorcee Wallis Simpson led to the abdication crisis in November of 1936. Oh yes, I remember it well. Oh. Edward VIII's abdication meant that her father was now crowned King George VI, a shy and mild-mannered figure which led the UK through World War II. Princess Elizabeth was 13 when war broke out. She was 13 when World War II broke out. Wow. And she was evacuated to London, to Windsor Castle, from where the following year she made a radio broadcast on the BBC's Children's Hour. Holy. Speaking to hundreds of thousands of children who have been evacuated from UK cities, Elizabeth said, "My sister Margaret Rose and I feel so much love for you. As we know the experience, what it meant to be away from those you love most of all. While living in new surroundings, we send a message of true sympathy, and at the same time, we would like to thank the kind people who have welcomed you into their homes in the country." He's 14 making this speech at this time. That's just imagine your modern Gen Z 14-year-old, your Zoomers running around doing anything approximating that statement, okay? That is 2 years younger than when Greta Thunberg rose to prominence, okay? And she was just making some condescending, snippy speech. Yeah, but this is a queen doing something. Okay, well, I guess a would-be queen making this statement to a bunch of scared people during World War II. It was pretty significant at the time. At 14 years old, there's never going to be another one like this, okay? When she was 16 years old, she was given the honorary role of Colonel of the Grenadier Guard. She never fought on the front lines, let's stop that. And inspected the regiment at Windsor Castle. Now, when she turned 18 in April of 1944, she joined the British Army's Auxiliary Territorial Service and had reached the rank of junior commander by the time of Germany's surrender. Holy. During the war, she also fell in love with a young naval officer with a biting wit and a great sense of humor, Philip Mountbatten, who was 5 years her senior and a distant cousin. Wait, stop. Hold up. Anyways, it's the royals, it's the monarchs and all that stuff. They got to keep it in the family. Nudge, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. He had been born to a Greek royal family, which had been restored in 1936, but was replaced by a republic in 1973, and was known as Prince Philip of Greece. 1947, Philip and Elizabeth married and became the Duke of Edinburgh, and their first child, Prince Charles, was born the following year, 1948. All right. 2 years later, they had a girl who would become Princess Anne. February of 52, King George VI, the heavy smoker, died of cancer at 56. Holy. Elizabeth and Philip had just sent out for a tour of Australia and New Zealand, but the news of her father's death reached them in Kenya. We all know what Philip was talking about at the time, and the couple immediately flew back to England. Elizabeth was only 25 when she became queen in her televised coronation in June of 1953. As Elizabeth II was a celebration that was seen as an ending of an era of the post-war austerity and gloom. The young queen had 2 more children, Prince Andrew, the less said about him the better, in 1960, and Prince Edward in 1964, and settled down to raising a family and ruling over the empire that was slowly disintegrating as colonies in Africa, the Caribbean, and elsewhere were granted independence. No, but I've already seen some of the takes that are out there, and we might as well get that stain out of the way right now. But Uju Anya, okay, that tweet's been taken down, so all we have is a screenshot right here, and like the caption says, a wildly rare but very much appreciated Bezos W. Okay. She's a professor at a prestigious place, by the way. Okay. Uju Anya. I heard the chief monarch of a thieving, raping, genocidal empire is finally dying. May her pain be excruciating. Hope somebody saves that tweet properly from her account and then just uses it whenever, word of her passing comes along. Anyways, Bezos is someone. Oh, and then Jeff Bezos said, this is someone supposedly working to make the world better. I don't think so. Wow. Shout out Rocket Man. But let's just phase back to the new king, King Charles III. Okay. He released his first statement as the monarch, and oh boy, this is going to be a wild time now going forward. There's not going to be any 70 years of stability because our guy right here, is he the same age as Trump? Oh boy, that's wild to think about. He looks a bajillion times worse. Anyways, Queen Elizabeth II's son and the new king of the United Kingdom, Charles, released a statement mourning his mother's death on Thursday. Charles was immediately referred to as the king by Buckingham Palace, which announced Elizabeth's death on Thursday evening local time. Camilla, his wife, was referred to as Queen Consort. Now, I'm not even going to begin to pretend to know how all of this politics stuff works when it comes to the monarchy. I don't think that means that she's going to be the queen, which again, okay, if he's got the flaps, okay, the obvious jokes of the Camilla coronation happening in a stable, they're going to be coming out fast and furiously, but don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case, but that's, at least to my layman's understanding, that's what would end up happening. We're once again go back to a time of a king and a queen, but alright. Spokesperson for the office told The Telegraph and Sky News on Thursday that he will be called King Charles III. He had a choice of taking on another name. Well, to be fair, he's only going to be holding the position for, well, if he lives as long as his mother, another couple of decades and change. But again, we already know who's next in line after Charles, so... Anyways, let's not, jump ahead of anything. In a statement, Charles called his mother's death a moment of the greatest sadness for me and all the members of my family. We mourn profoundly the passing of a cherished sovereign and a much-loved mother. I know her loss will be deeply felt throughout the community. the country, the realms, and the Commonwealth, and by countless people around the world. He added, during this period of mourning and change, my family and I will be comforted and sustained by the knowledge of the respect and deep affection in which the Queen was so widely held. Alice said the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon, adding that the King and Queen consort will remain in Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow. Charles will be officially proclaimed king in the near future. The event takes place at St. James Palace in London in front of a ceremonial body called the Ascension Council. Yeah, that's going to be wild to see, but we'll just take a look at some celebrities, okay? I don't need, all of the other, super hot takes that are out there right now. Just some good ones right now because, everything's a joke. At least on my channel. I like to keep levity about certain things, but this is a moment of respect, okay? At least until the end of the day or until I'm done with this video. And then outside of that, then everything's back on the table, okay? But for right now, this is how I want to express my condolences. My show, my rules. Anyways. Thank you, ma'am, for everything. Paddington the Bear. That's an odd statement. Who recently filmed a video with the Queen, sorrowfully said, I think that was a part of the Diamond Jubilee. Like it says over there, you can kind of see it on the side. Maybe, I don't know. Singer and friend to the royal family, Sir Elton John, released a statement on Thursday noting, along with the rest of the nation, I am deeply saddened to hear the news of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. Thanks, little jut-outs. Deeply saddened to hear the news of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth's passing. She was so inspiring. She was such an inspiring presence to be around, and led the country through some of our greatest and darkest moments with grace. Rolling Stones lead singer. Come on now, Sir Mick Jagger posted on social media. From my whole life, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II has always been there. Wow, that's wild to think about as well. Even Mick Jagger, holy. I can recall watching her wedding highlights on TV. I remember her as a beautiful young lady and a much beloved grandmother of the nation. My deepest sympathies are with the royal family. Just another generational gap here between, statements that are released out there of guys and their, let's be honest, they're unfortunately next on the chopping block, which kind of sucks because I've pronounced my adoration for the Rolling Stones and Elton John's music it's up there in that regards as well. But yeah, man. Oh, and here we have a significant step down. Let's see how much solipsism we can see here. Today is a very sad day, not just for the country, but for the entire world. I'm deeply saddened by the passing of our beloved monarch, Her Majesty the Queen. She will be remembered for her steadfast loyalty and service, and my thoughts are with the royal family at this incredibly sad time. No heartwarming stories or anything like that, but what else can you expect for David Beckham's cum catcher? We're going to skip over Bette Midler because a bathhouse has nothing to do with this. I am proud to be an Elizabethan. We mourn a woman who, with or without the crown, was the epitome of nobility. A lot of rhyming right there, and I appreciate that. Helen Mirren, who played the role of Queen Elizabeth II in the film 2006, the Queen shared on Instagram. Helen Mirren on Instagram. That's a weird thought. Anyways, just don't think about it like that, though. No, not Helen Mirren and thought in the same sense. Anyways, I mourn with my country the passing of our greatest queen. With a heavy heart, I say the devastating thought of England without Queen Elizabeth II. Ozzy said he's apparently moving back to the UK because, I don't know, school shootings or something like that. It's like, Ozzy, you're 70, come on and grow up or something like that. But no, he's going to be halftime act at the opening kickoff for the NFL. So he's out there in Los Angeles for right now. Yeah, man, he's cool. He used to be based, but now he's just old and at least his ticker works, which, oh God. Again, is somebody else who I like his solo work more than his output for Black Sabbath. I know that might be a hot take, but I'm just reading all these statements from people who are like super awesome, and then the people that would be replacing them, and oh boy, a man out of time, I suppose. But yeah, what about Queen Elizabeth's family? Okay, we heard from the new king. Haven't seen much from the rest of the extended family, but you know that there's one family member who is never, ever getting close to that crown, okay? Who really just can't stand anybody not giving them attention all the time, okay? We have right here at archwell.com, we've taken down our foundation page for the moment just to put in loving memory Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, okay? And then, oh God, we got something that's just like super fucking sad because there's the other half of that Archwell Foundation, okay? Like, you have the would-be princess, okay? The one who drove more division and was probably cause of the most stress in her final days. Meghan Markle, she was not accompanying, that's a fun word to say, Prince Harry, okay, to Balmoral, sorry, proper enunciation on that one. I remember Harry and Meghan were both in the UK at this time doing some promotional tour or something like that. Or I don't know, she was trying to drum up guests for her podcast to embarrass her on air. Because, again, she's just a perpetual narcissist. And she's somehow going to make this about her and her feelings. But this right here is just the ultimate cherry on the cake when it comes to all of this stuff going sideways. Okay, Prince Harry arrives too late to say goodbye to Queen Elizabeth. And that's his grandma, man. That, like, super sucks. Like, we've seen some candid pictures of him being like, yeah, it was too late, my bro. And it's like, oh, that sucks. Because, again, one thing, sorry, you gotta get, personal at this time. I was lucky. I don't even know if lucky's the right way to say it. I was fortunate enough to, in her final days, see my grandmother before she passed away. It's something that's never going to leave my mind, and it was pretty traumatic at the time, but I'm glad I got to say goodbye, and that's something that didn't get afforded to Harry, because I think it's been a couple of years since he had seen his grandma. That's like, ugh, God. I do feel bad for him. And normally I'd launch into a tirade. It's like, well, you picked the wife that ended up dividing your family deeper than it had been since war times. But you already know with that, and hopefully this is your moment where it's like, wow, I really chose wrong. And now when my family needed me the most, I was like an hour away. I was still in the same country, but wow, she kept me away from one of the most significant deaths, not just in the country or the world's history, but is specific to your family. I hope that this is the moment where this really wakes him up, but I guess time will really tell. Prince Harry did not make it to Balmoral in time to see his late grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, Thursday before she died. The Post has learned that Harry is now at the Scottish castle without his wife, Meghan Markle, but did not get to say a final goodbye. It appears much of the family also didn't make it in time. Yeah, but that's your grandmother, and there's like not a lot of grandkids around, and that just sucks. The Duchess of Sussex reps had previously said she would be heading to Scotland with her husband to see the late Queen, but later said plans changed because of the fluid situation. Yeah, not making that joke. Nope, it came to mind, but not today. Insiders emphasized that there was nothing nefarious in her decision not to go to Balmoral. I'm sure, other than if you've been paying attention to, not saying I have been or not, the inside rumors, and if you use Daily Mail long enough, you see them on the sidebars. Anyways, the old queen wasn't exactly the biggest fan of Meghan Markle, so in her on her deathbed saying that, no, leave the bitch outside, I don't think that would be necessarily out of character. She and Harry were already in the UK, staying at their old home, Frogmore Cottage in Windsor, when news broke out of the Queen's condition. Prince William has been seen behind the wheel of an official Range Rover arriving at the Queen's Balmoral estate Thursday afternoon, along with the disgraced uncle Prince Andrew. It appears they also did not arrive early enough to say goodbye to the Queen. Oh man, that's her son. Because like I said, I seen word of this morning that things were going down early, and then, yeah, the message that she had passed, it came out pretty quickly with over the course of about 3 or 4 hours. It was quick. So what's to come next, instead of just lamenting on the past? So Operation London Bridge is apparently what it's called. Here's what happens now that Queen Elizabeth has passed. I'm not gonna, it just always seems disrespectful, even though it's the proper terminology, but whatever. The death of Queen Elizabeth II Thursday has kicked off a meticulous and decades-old plan dubbed Operation London Bridge to ensure a smooth transition to the throne for King Charles III, and to make sure her funeral goes off without a hitch. And boy, is it going to be a long process. The process will begin with Queen Elizabeth's floral wreath-adorned coffin there's no additional G in there, set in the ballroom of her Scottish castle, Balmoral, where she died, until Saturday, giving her staff a chance to pay their respect, according to the Times of London. As part of Operation Unicorn, a subphase of the main plan that went into effect because Elizabeth died in Scotland, the Queen will then be brought to Edinburgh sometime Saturday for her coffin to rest in the throne room of her palace, Holyrood House. That is very Scottish. On Sunday, the coffin will be carried up to a Royal Mile to St. Giles Cathedral for a reception before it is put on board the royal train at Waverley Station. Crowds of mourners are expected to gather at stations along the journey down the East Coast main line to throw flowers for the passing train. The exact timing of the events was unclear Thursday. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they didn't exactly have a specific date when they outlined this plan that's apparently decades old at this point. So yeah, a couple of adjustments need to be made on the fly. The king is expected to come back to Scotland on Sunday, and he will be given the key to Edinburgh before joining the coffin procession. Queen Elizabeth's body will arrive at the throne room in Buckingham Palace sometime Tuesday, with an altar, the pall, the royal standard, and 4 grenadier guards standing watch according to the plan. The procession through London will take her coffin from Buckingham Palace on Wednesday to the Palace of Westminster, with the service at Westminster Hall following its arrival. The Queen will lie in state for 3 days. So now we're into next Saturday, with her coffin in a raised box in the middle of Westminster Hall, open to the public for 23 hours a day, because the guards need to switch out and take a leak every once in a while, I guess. In a plan detailed by Politico via a leaked memo still stands. Preparations for the Saturday, September 17th funeral will finish up Friday, September 16th, before Westminster Abbey closes to the public the following day for the event. The official service is expected to begin around 11 a.m. and last until noon. Yeah, it's going to be broadcast, and yeah, it's going to be something. All of this stuff is going to be something. Like, this is something that nobody really with this much gusto has been able to cover in a long time. It's going to be wild, which is a weird way to address a funeral. Anyways, it will be the first funeral of a British monarch in Westminster since 1760. Holy! Well, it's kind of fitting, given for the fact that she is the longest serving British monarch. So, same day her body will be brought to Windsor Castle for a committal service in St. George's Chapel, and the Queen will be buried in the castle's King George VI Memorial Chapel. Okay. Most of the country will grind to a halt as it mourns. Yeah, this is all going to be taking place over the next 10 days. So I look for all the hashtag stand with Ukraine and all the Ukraine flags probably switching to, the Union Jack here very shortly. The London Stock Exchange will cease business and UK banks will close. Wow, okay. With around 60 years of planning, Operation London Bridge should ensure the Queen's send-off goes off smoothly. Should be a far cry from the shocking car crash death of Charles' then estranged wife, Princess Diana, in August 1997. Yeah, I was only 7 at the time, but, hey, there were some rumors going around at the time, and somebody, I don't know, was double dipping in the royal family, and then maybe a Saudi prince, and hey, man, maybe the Queen went on thought patrol at the time, and that's why she's got a specific amount of reverence in my books. Anyways, instead borrowed Operation Taybridge, a well-rehearsed plan to send off the Queen Mother, who would not die for another 5 years. Oh my, right, I forgot about all that stuff, jeez. Upon the last death of a UK monarch, Elizabeth's father, King George VI, in 1952, the code words Hyde Park Corner were used to prevent switchboard operators from catching on. Likewise, the death in April of 2021 of the Queen's 99-year-old husband, Prince Philip. Yeah, all those sad pictures of her sitting alone with a mask, and now what we know about masks, how stupid that was, of her, having to mourn in absolute solitude is kind of a bit sad, but a really decent representation of her rule as queen. Like, again, this is a figurehead position, but she did a really, 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 really impeccable job of not being politically biased, okay, not bringing any shame to the crown, ruling with a level head, and is overwhelmingly loved by the British public. You take a look at polls out there, and people respect the monarchy much more than they respect the House of Commons, which, hey, big ups to you guys. At least you know what's going down. So yes, this is a very odd video to make. And again, it's one of those things where you just have people that have been around for so long, you never think that they're actually going to go. And then when they do, it's very odd. It's very, very odd. So for whatever it's worth, and Godspeed into the hereafter, the Queen is dead. Long live the King. With all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.